Well, hi, everybody. We've got a fun work session today. Welcome. It's so good to see you all here. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Corliss. Here. Halliburton.
Here.
Morales.
Here.
Nash. Stead.
Here.
Willits. 4 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. All right. First up, we've got an update on America 250 with Jennifer Wybar and Lindsay Mosier. Jennifer and Lindsay, welcome. I asked the team to come and share with council and the public an update on the programming that we've got going because it's started and it's super exciting. And the first event at Jump was well received. And I do want to call out and thank Jump for their partnership, offering a venue for First Thursday activities, among other things. And hope that council is able to join us in the community at many of the events we have planned. So welcome.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. Madam Mayor, members of council, my name is Lindsay Mosier, and I'm in the Office of Community Engagement, and I'm here to present with my colleague, Jennifer Wybar, on America 250. July 4th marks America's 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, a once-in-a-generation milestone. Boise is proud to participate in a citywide celebration that invites every resident to take part. This is not just a single event, it's a year-long civic moment. We are approaching this through community events, arts and cultural experiences, exhibitions and storytelling, visual branding across the city. Our goal is to both honor our past and look ahead at the next 250 years. This effort reflects Boise's values, community engagement, thoughtful reflection, and inclusive celebration. The American Association of State and Local History identified the 5 guiding themes: the power of place, we the people, unfinished revolutions, doing history, and the American experiment. These themes allow communities to interpret the anniversary in locally meaningful ways. Boise's programming reflects these ideas, and you'll see them throughout our events and programming. We're emphasizing Boise's unique history, diverse voices, and civic future. This is truly a whole city effort. We intentionally built this as a collaborative model, reflecting the spirit of the anniversary itself. Our executive sponsor is Maria Weig from our Office of Community Engagement and is supported by our steering committee made up of directors and the project team made up of incredibly talented and passionate staff. I'd also like to recognize that Carrie Hall, who is our interim Arts and History Director, has been integral to the success of this project in steering arts and history. And we look forward to bringing our new director, Jason Taylor, up to speed quickly. We could not pull all this collaborative effort together without the help of organizational effectiveness and Meredith Stead as well. When thinking about how we wanted to celebrate and commemorate America 250, we really identified 3 buckets. We wanted to create thoughtful and engaging programs and events, balance reflection with celebration, and celebrate our community today while reflecting on our past. We wanted to envision Boise's future and create opportunities for community-led programming. This programming is truly for everyone. Jennifer is going to talk about the ways in which we are commemorating and celebrating, but these include community events for First Thursdays at Jump, which we had our first event last month, which was amazing, tours and exhibitions, a signature 4th of July celebration, and plenty of other ways to get involved in the community.
Thank you, Lindsay, Madam Mayor, and council members. My name is Jennifer Wybar, and I'm with the City of Boise's Department of Arts and History. And I've had the great privilege and good fortune of serving as a project lead alongside my colleague Lindsay Mosier and the extraordinary team or project team leading the America 250 effort on the city's America 250 commemoration this year. I'm here to provide an overview of what residents can expect during this commemorative year and ways to engage. Before I move on, I want to emphasize that it was important to us, to the America 250 project team, to ensure that Boiseans had access to these history and cultural offerings at no cost. It was equally important to us that Boiseans of all ages and backgrounds and in all places across our valley have access to these offerings and see themselves reflected in the city's history. We are really underscoring the relevance of educating Boiseans about the city's history and its place, and ensuring that people understand how the diverse people of the past and the diverse people of today all contribute to the American story. Now on to the citywide commemoration and offerings. We are activating several location and venues for First Thursdays, including collaborating with JUMP. Madam Mayor, thank you for recognizing that collaboration. We are collaborating with JUMP on a 5-part series that we've coined America 250 First Thursdays at JUMP, and I'll provide an overview of that series in just a few minutes. We're also activating the beautiful Shuri Buckner Webb Park with its signature public art, Gentle Breeze, or as everyone knows it, Pink Tree, through First Thursdays with America-themed activities and learning resources in May and June, August, September, and October. We've also partnered with the Idaho State Museum and Idaho Public Television on a series of trivia nights inspired by Boise, Idaho history and the American Revolution. And there's truly a night for everyone. On April 2nd, we are inviting families to join us at JUMP and to see if you're smarter than a 4th grader. So we're partnering with Boise School District to ensure that our questions are based on 4th grade history curriculum. On May 14th, we are partnering with our dear friends, Parks and Recreation and the Dick Early Senior Center for a senior-centered America 250 Trivia Night. We are coining that the Stars and Stripes Trivia Night. And of course, we are also offering an adults-only Gen Z-centered trivia night in partnership with Common Ground Coffee and Marketplace during civic season on June 25th. Of course, these trivia nights are free and open to all. You don't have to be of a certain age to participate. And if you do participate to all 3, you will be triple crowned the trivia queen or king. Through the city's America 250 grant, and I'll go into that a little bit later, we're also expecting to see individuals and cultural organizations working in cultural fields put on their own America 250 events. And I'll have a little bit more to say about that in a few minutes. And finally, we continue our tradition of joining the Veterans Entrepreneur Alliance's 4th of July Pancake Breakfast, a cherished Boise tradition bringing community together to celebrate freedom and support of our nation's veterans. We also plan to participate in the July 4th parade, and we invite everyone to join us for the city's signature 4th of July celebration and fireworks at Ann Morrison Park, with a special performance this year by Boise Philharmonic, the city's cultural ambassador. So as I mentioned, we're collaborating with JUMP. They've been an incredible partner, and they invited us to activate First Thursdays, particularly the JUMP room on the 5th floor of that facility. As you will notice, we kicked it off on February 5th with a partnership with Boise Contemporary Theater and a stage reading of What the Constitution Means to Me by Heidi Schreck. I personally could not have imagined a better way to kick off our America 250 commemoration with a deep look at our Constitution and a deep look at our constitutional rights, particularly through the lens of women's rights. Thank you, Council President Stead, for your opening remarks and your participation that evening. Moving along, this coming Thursday, we are partnering with the city of Boise's, one of the city of Boise's cultural sites, the Irma Heyman House, to put on a powerful panel featuring Idaho women rewriting the blueprint. I invite you to join us this Thursday, March 5th. The program begins at 6:30. I mentioned our family trivia night on April 2nd, so I'll skip over that. On May 7th, we're partnering with the Wasma Center for Human Rights, and they have a arts awards and showcase. K through 12 students are invited to submit visual works of art, performance, and written works on or in response to the Second Amendment in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That contest or that artwork submission deadline is March 12th, I believe. And on May 7th, we invite everyone to come and see the students' works and participate in the awards ceremony. And finally, on June 4th, we are partnering with hopefully the Idaho Office of Refugees. We're still working on details on a live storytelling event on the theme of We the People. What a great way to culminate this 5-part series with that theme. As I mentioned, the city is in a position to fund individuals and organizations working in the cultural sector. We've put aside, out of the $150,000 that we grant every year, $30,000 in funding to the community for America 250 thematic programming. It was really important for us to allocate that money, put that funding into the hands of the communities so that they can in turn respond to America 250 themes and in their own voices and in their own ways contribute to the commemoration. The America 250 grant closed on January 16th. The panel has actually reviewed all the applicants. We received 20. And I believe have made decisions, actually last week have made decisions. I do want to thank the community-based panel for getting together and for making those decisions. And I believe we will be announcing those in mid-March. My thanks also to Mary Wigg, who participated on the panel. We are also offering a series of tours and exhibitions. You have the list in front of you. I will highlight 2 of them. American Contradictions is a group exhibition featuring works by 8 local artists: Ann Peterson, Devin Smith, Grace Page, Heather Witt, Kirsten Furlong, Margaret Pope, and Mangina Cole, and Sam Arkide. These Boise artists are reflecting through their artworks on the persistent tensions between many of America's founding values: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and the struggle to deliver on that promise for a more perfect union. The exhibition is currently on view at the Irma Heyman House in downtown Boise through March, and I invite you to the closing reception on March 26th from 5 to 7. Another item I will highlight is our partnership with Boise State University's 501 history class and Boise State Public Radio through the Short Histories of Boise. These 2 to 3 minute recorded conversations will actually launch, I believe, next week or the week after, and highlight the history of several place names in Boise. Think about the Bench, think about Spalding Ranch. What is the history behind those place names? We'll learn more as Boise State Public Radio, Idaho Matters airs these short histories all the way through July. I'll pass it along to Lindsay for more ways to get involved.
Thanks, Jennifer. Just a few other things that I want to highlight that we are also supporting. The Students Arts Awards Showcase that Jennifer spoke about. The library is doing a lot of great programming through their book displays, including some categories for readers in the Ultimate Book Nerd and some themed story times. And I just saw one of the displays when I was at the library the other weekend. I also want to highlight that the state has done a really great job of just providing a platform of the America 250 in Idaho. Everybody is adding their events there, so it's really a central platform that members of the community can go find a total variety of events and activities. So just to touch on the July 4th signature celebration, as Jennifer mentioned, the pancake breakfast will happen again in the morning, the parade, which of course the city participates in, and then kind of the enhanced show that's happening in Ann Morrison Park. The schedule for the evening on the 4th will be the Boise Phil Patriotic Performance, a drone show, and then enhanced fireworks, which includes more glitz and sparkle. As we get closer to the events, we'll post the schedule with more details. I also wanted to note that we plan to launch our vendor applications for food and drinks for the 4th a little bit later this month. The city is also using this commemoration and celebration as a marketing and visual branding opportunity as well. The shared branding that Sam in our Office of Community Engagement has done is beautiful. You'll notice it throughout all of our events, materials, and marketing. I brought bandanas, stickers, and pins that you all are more than welcome to hand out at community events, etc. Some other of our visual branding elements include our updated employee signatures, employee lanyards, pins, bandanas, and stickers. We will light up City Hall with red, white, and blue leading up to the 4th of July, as well as our citywide publication and newsletters. Branding reinforces a sense of shared civic identity, and we look forward to seeing it shared throughout our community. This effort really depends on partnerships, culture institutions, nonprofits, schools, state agencies, and community groups that are involved. We are grateful for all of our sponsors and partners who can make these festivities happen. America's 250th anniversary is really a historic milestone, but what makes it even more meaningful is how we, as Boise, choose to mark it together. This effort honors where we've been, celebrates who we are, and invites our community to imagine the next 250 years. And with that, we will stand for questions.
Madam Mayor, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to thank the staff for all their work. I did, as they mentioned, I attended the first Thursday. We'll be at the one again this week, but it was really incredible. Really took my breath away. Boise Contemporary Theater. They pitched it as a reading, but they really did perform the entire work that I had not seen when they had it in the theater a couple summers ago, but I'd heard all about, and it's I think that these are really great opportunities for thought-provoking discussion and reflection on our own history and what that means for our future. But I've really enjoyed this programming even more honestly than I would have expected. And I am really encourage the public to explore some of the opportunities that are available. It's a great way to see the public art that is available that the city is bringing to the public at no charge. So really amazing. Great job, team.
And so, Jennifer, I just wanted to make a quick note of thanks for bringing this to our attention so that we can bring out the word, and for scheduling the various events throughout the city at different times that are going to allow people to come, and greatly appreciate the eye of keeping these events at zero cost for our community, so that won't be a barrier to participate. Thank you so much for all your work.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'll just pile on some of the things. Also, nice job coming in the red, white, and blue for the presentation today. I think it's always exciting when we have the opportunity to celebrate something big and celebrate in a really unique way within our own community. And I think being able to do that with some of our nonprofit partners is really pretty incredible. I hope the thing with the Idaho Office of Refugees works out. I think the mayor and I've been to a couple different refugee citizen swearing in ceremonies, and it's one of the most patriotic things like that you'll ever witness, and really kind of reminds you of how lucky we are, you know, to live in this country and to see that sort of celebration. So again, I know that collaboration takes work, additional work. And so that additional collaboration with all the nonprofits and the sponsors, I think, that help make that possible, I think just really means a lot across the community. And also was excited to kind of see all those different age groups being hit along the way, you know, from kids to Gen Zers to pancake breakfasts with seniors, which all sound a lot of fun. So good job.
Well, I just want to say thanks for being here. I know Council Member Willits has been so excited about the work that you're doing, and at the last minute she wasn't able to be here. I'll make sure that she gets this too. I think this is really exciting. I regret that I haven't been able to attend a First Thursday event yet. I will be at Are You Smarter Than a Fourth Grader? I'm afraid the answer will be no. I just really appreciate the care and attention that both departments have given to this work. It's, you know, some people ask, how do we celebrate at times like this when there's so much division and frustration? And I think it becomes even more important that we celebrate, that we remember the ideals that are the foundation of who we are as a nation, and the fact that, as one of the themes says, the work's unfinished, and you're helping bring this discussion to our community in a really meaningful way. And I really look forward to interacting with our residents at the various different things that I can attend. And when I can't, just knowing that our residents are getting to do this, because it's more important than ever that we reflect backwards so that we can think forwards and really challenge ourselves to live up to the ideals that were put down on paper 250 years ago. So thank you both very much. Really appreciate it, and to the whole team. All right, next up we've got Keep Boise Cool. I stuck my little sticker on my computer at first. I've never put a sticker on a computer before. I'm not one of those cool people, but now it says Keep Boise Cool.
You
So
are now.
I guess I'm cool. Uh, really, before you all start, I want to thank the members of the committee that are here, and of course all the other members of the committee that participated in the last year. So much work went into this, of course, from our team, but also by this volunteer committee that had hundreds of people apply for, I think, 20 spots. It was really hard to pick the 20 people. And so looking forward to this presentation, and I did take the test that you're going to talk about, and then really excited to help launch this tomorrow and to hear from our committee members tomorrow, and then encourage the public to participate. Thanks, Bree.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Bree Brush. I work in the mayor's office supporting transportation and climate policy, so you'll see me back to back today. But majority of this presentation will be done by my colleague Rachel, who I'll introduce in a moment. As the mayor said, we are really excited to launch Keep Boise Cool tomorrow. We visited with you, myself, Lindsay Mosier, and Alex Brooks from Public Works about a year and a half ago to talk about a concept to really deepen our community engagement as it relates to climate action. And it started with a committee, and the goal was to put together a guide that can empower residents to take climate action. And this is where we've landed. So this is the product of over a year of work. And we have our extended team members here, team members who have been working on the launch from CE, from planning, from Public Works, from all over the city. And then we have our committee members sitting over here, a few of them that we're really excited to participate. So leading this work right now, we have a fully dedicated staff member that we applied for and received through the Harvard Bloomberg City Hall Fellowship Program. So it's entirely funded by Harvard Bloomberg, and we get to have her for 2 years. She's dedicated wholly to this effort, implementing it, measuring its success and impact. So we're really excited to have her here today and have her do the rest of this presentation. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Rachel Fisher.
Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you, Bree. Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. I'm so excited to present to you something new and exciting, which, as Bree mentioned, is the conclusion of the initial phases of the Community Climate Action Engagement Project, which was focused, again, solely on engagement. And now we're moving towards implementation, which is the product will be a community-focused climate action guide, which we are calling Keep Boise Cool. So I'll take you through a rough outline of my presentation today. We'll start with the background. Where did this project even come from? What strategies did we employ to engage the community? What did we hear from them? And as a result, what are the project goals coming out of that? And then the deliverable, which we will be launching tomorrow. I'll take you through that and our next steps with that deliverable. Doesn't end just there. I'll take questions and comments at the end, but if you have any burning questions as I'm presenting to you, feel free to chime in. So as you know, in 2021, Council adopted the City of Boise's clean energy and climate goals. And one of the most important ones of those were the 2050 carbon neutrality goals. And these are widely focused on municipal actions. While there's mentions of individual actions that people can take, they weren't as centered in that planning. So this engagement work was centered on that planning. This engagement work was thinking about how community members wanted to participate and engage in the city's climate action roadmap. I will be very transparent that I just started in August, so I wasn't around for much of this engagement, but I was around at the tail end, and I've been able to analyze and help implement what I've heard. So to begin this engagement work, we convened a representative committee of 23 members for 12 months, beginning around a year ago in December of 2024. We have 3 of our lovely members right here. And our goal was to understand how community members wanted to participate in the city's climate action goals. And this was a fully representative committee. We had young folks, we had folks who have been members of the Boise community for a little bit more than the young folks. And they've spanned a variety of demographic factors and council districts and all those things. And through this work, city staff led the committee members through an exploration of each climate priority area, of which there are 7. And these were through interactive discussions and activities and exercises to really understand and do the deep work of what was the purpose of this climate action roadmap and what do we want our role to be in it. So within a few months, we started to iterate on what residents that we were working with in the committee thought that residents would want to be able to take climate action. And so here's some of the feedback and recommendations we heard. These were distilled across a variety of sessions and revisited session to session. A lot of these sessions were really just deep engagement and discussion, which was really beautiful to witness the end of. Was that the last three? And the biggest thing is this column on the left is we want to frame our actions that residents are going to be taking in terms of shared community values and what we know makes Boise really, really great. I don't have to tell you what these are. I just moved here, but like health, clean air and water. And a big one for me is the community building aspect of this. That's emphasizing what makes our community really great. Another thing I'll emphasize is the importance of avoiding contributing to a sense of climate doom or climate paralysis, to name that really straightforwardly. The feeling that the feeling that a single action might not be enough is something we really want to avoid. We want to encourage even small actions that will build. And also enable and empower people who can take larger investments and larger actions. So doing all of the above. So our guide should also provide a credible hub for resources and information that allows people to take the actions we as Boise want them to take in really concrete and straightforward ways, saying this is a resource right here that you can employ to do this X, Y, and Z thing. So you'll see that reflected in the work that we're presenting to you. And the success, according to the committee, is that there's a lot of people doing it, a lot of people taking advantage of these guides, and a diversity of people doing it. I want to credit the committee with the Keep Boise Cool title and for shaping what you'll see is a really fun, enjoyable, and also individualized structure of this program. That was all them. Outside of the committee, the staff engaged in two other ways with the community outside of that 23-person committee. One of those modes was the community conversations, which was really used to test what staff had been hearing in those committee meetings to understand what do other people who might not be on a climate committee think about these ideas. So there were 5 open meetings at a variety of locations, over which 49 participants were engaged. The purpose of these conversations were, as I said, to test things out. And what we heard was that there's a sense of care among residents about climate change, but a feeling, again, that their actions weren't enough. There's a variety of logistical barriers to act and take climate action, such as infrastructure. And there's a strong need of centralized, credible information on climate here. The last mode of engagement was through a survey that was open for 8 weeks last spring, around a year ago. And it received almost 2,000 responses. So this was fairly representative. And we asked about the greatest barrier to climate action, what kinds of resources would be most useful and helpful to receive from the city. And one of, not super surprisingly, one of the most cited barriers were time, and the other one was cost. Residents focused on resources that they might want, which include access to shade trees, better transportation options, and rebates for home energy, energy saving. There were demographic differences depending on zip code, I will name, and in terms of concern and resources that people wanted, which is something that will play into what our final deliverable will discuss. So overall, what we heard across these 3 modes of engagement, climate action needs to be visible. It also needs to be personal. We want to make this a community building, fun kind of thing. We want every resident to feel like they can do their part, whether it's big or small, and contribute to a sense of we're all in this together, unifying. And we want to make climate action easy. I know that's a hard thing to say, but easy to get started. by removing barriers like cost and time, and easier to amplify what you're already doing, clear as in terms of what the next step might be. So that takes me to the purpose and goals of what we're launching. So again, this is aligning with the overall findings of the committee, I hope. And this is just preserving aspects of our community that we already know and love. And this is inspiring individual climate action, lowering barriers, supporting the work of the roadmap, unifying our community, and measuring participation and climate behaviors, and figuring out, okay, is this strategy actually encouraging folks to make these changes? Keep Boise cool. Therefore, we'll have 3 prongs of the guide. There will be the programming, which will encapsulate events, challenges. Challenges means like community building, games, kind of, you could think about it. I'll take you through some of those. Incentives and just general behavior change, educational awareness related. The second prong is the personalized web tool, which is the center of what we're launching tomorrow, which is the goal is just to make climate actions actionable and structured really clearly for residents. The last prong of what we're proposing is a communications and marketing campaign, which will also be launched tomorrow. And that's going to be resident focused, action oriented, and again, really a unifying message around this is our no-brainer community value. So these individual climate action plans is the crux of our guide. It is not one single guide. It is a guide that is personalized based on questions that you answer based on your lifestyle and interests. So if you are a renter, you will have a different guide than somebody who is not a renter, who is a homeowner, for example, or if your interests differ. And these guides, which I will show you in a moment, an example of one in a moment, range from lower barrier to entry actions to more advanced actions. So it can be anyone who receives one of these guides should be able to benefit or act on it. And the website will bundle resources specific to our community. I think I mentioned that before. Our partners that are working on these related actions and how somebody might get started with an area. And it also allows us as staff to measure impact. Who's actually filling these out? Where are they located? Is it a lot of renters? Is it a lot of homeowners? Those kinds of questions, which is going to be really helpful data. So this is what the experience will look like. It's a quiz. I know Madam Mayor filled this out, so she could tell you about it. And here's an example of a climate action plan that will be emailed to you. I know it's really small, but you will have the opportunity to get your own in your own email box. And again, you can see they range in terms of difficulty, in terms of price level, and they're really fun, which is, maybe you want to put it on your fridge, for example. Okay, so the next part of this is the challenges and incentives that we are launching to actually help people do the things that are on this PDF.
I'm going to do a time check. We've got probably 5 minutes max total.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you. So the challenges are gamified and they're meant to lower barriers. So for example, if an individual engages with this educational opportunity, there's opportunities for them to then lower their water use. The city will help them with that. We also had a game for people to lower their waste and consumption. So moving forward, we will track data, I mentioned this, from the plan cultivation and track who's actually completing the actions listed on their plans. And our launch is tomorrow. There will be a lot of swag. There will be food. You can fill out your climate action plan. And then I also encourage you to share this tool with your constituents if you're able, and you'll be the first to try it. Here is the link to our website. And it will be live, or I think it is live now as of today. And it has all of the resources that I mentioned, including the ability to build your own climate action plan. Thank you. And I'll stand for any questions.
Rachel, will you and the CE team share with the council office any social tools as well as this link so they can do that? Great. Thanks.
Madam Mayor. I think this is so cool. I remember a couple years ago, when we were talking about the city's climate action goals, I asked a question that was, but what are we doing to take the community along with us in this? And I wondered that even as a resident, what do I need to know about tankless water heaters, or, like what, or a heat pump, or, what should I know about things that I could do in my own home? And I think this is such a cool opportunity for the public to engage and set their own goals. And I look forward to the kickoff tomorrow. Thank you so much for your work.
Yeah, Madam Mayor. Rachel, first, I know you've been here since August, but welcome to City of Boise. It's good to have you in front of us today. Some questions about the outreach plan. So I'm kind of curious, is this kind of like a launch outreach plan that we do for the next couple of weeks? Is this a kind of year-long effort that we continue to remind folks for a continued period of time? Can you just kind of give us a little bit more of a snapshot of the longevity of the plan?
Sure. Thanks. Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Council Member. Our initial plan is around 2 years while I'm here, and then I think we'll go from there. So as of right now, we're going quarter to quarter and kind of iterating based on each climate priority. So we are actually already started starting in September, October with waste and consumption, focusing on an outreach around that, and that actually helped us shape this launch. And then right now we're actually already executing on the water quarter, and then we will move from there. So right now we're going quarter to quarter for the first year, and then we will go from there. I think that answers your question.
Yeah, and then as far as like the survey goes, that kind of delivers people their individualized climate action plan. Is this something that we'll have up and available for an extended period of time? Is there a shelf life on it, or is it like people could do this today and they could also do it like next year at this exact same time, and we'll still deliver a plan to them? How does that look?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, Council Member, I believe it's going to be up for the foreseeable future. So you could take it tomorrow, you could take it next year. And I think our goal is to alter the resources and things like that to keep them updated so that this can always be a resource for community members.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I had a chance to fill it out already. I think I did it before the link was actually supposed to be live, so it didn't deliver the results to me quite yet. So I've been told I need to do it again. But it was a fun process actually going through to actually see some of the different things as you're kind of answering your questions, helping you explore and think about things a little bit differently. And like Council President Stead mentioned, when we passed this climate action plan in 2021, it was probably one of the most influential things that I feel like I've been able to do on council, because it's changed every other decision that I've made. It's helped me ensure that everything that we do up here, we do it through a climate lens. When we're building a new fire station, we do it with climate in mind. When we pass a new zoning code, we do it, with climate action in mind. And there did need to be this next step, because if we were going to achieve this goal, there was no way that we could do it alone. And we needed to figure out how we're going to get the rest of the community involved in this process. So I'm excited to see us doing it. The reason I kind of asked some of the questions about longevity is I do think that this is one of those things where we need people to form a habit. So they're going to start trying these things. They're going to need those gentle reminders. And then once that habit is formed, it becomes really easy to do. But sometimes that gateway in is a little bit of a challenge. And I guess for myself and, other council members, I would just encourage us to not only be active as we kick this off, but continue to be active in pushing this out throughout the rest of the year. Because I do think that this is one of those things that's not just going to be one big push. It's going to take continuous pushing to kind of get everybody rolling. But I'm confident that once we can get everybody rolling, it'll snowball from there. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much. It's great to have this presentation. Look forward to the kickoff celebration tomorrow.
Sounds good. See you tomorrow.
And now Bree's going to come back on up because we are going to have a conversation about the Ada County Highway District 5-year plan. Thanks everybody that was part of this, who's walking out of the room now. Really appreciate your work. Yes. Yeah, you guys put a lot of time into it.
Great. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am here before you today, but there are a lot of people that work on this project. I wanted to mention two that are new to our team in mobility and public spaces. Meg McCarthy, who is right here. She comes to us from ACHD, where she was a bike ped coordinator, and she's now our senior planner for mobility and land use. So she'll be doing the majority of this work going forward. And then not present with us today, but Nina Schaefer is our new Pathways Program Manager. She comes to us from the consulting world and brings a lot of experience with building pathways in communities across Idaho. You'll see more of Nina, particularly as pathways start to reach some really critical milestones in the next few months. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned her. For the next 20 or so minutes, I'm planning to talk about how ACHD programs their projects, their prioritization, take you through our requested projects, which you had in your packet, and go through the schedule for input and our immediate next steps. But first, I want to note a couple projects that are completed or near construction since we last spoke with you last year. The Pierce Park and State intersection, if you've driven through the area, you know is actively under construction right now. So expect to be complete shortly. Northwest Bikeway, the Boise High crossing improvements to add some safety for Boise High students and visitors downtown, and then the Kasha Garden Bikeway. To get you started on our requested projects, the list, as you know, because most of you have heard this multiple years in a row now, it's broken out into two categories. We have roads and intersections and safety and compliance. Roads and intersections are those larger capital projects that are often impact fee eligible. We have a bit fewer of those with 18 requests in there. It's actually more than last year because we're getting better at refining and scoping and phasing these projects. So instead of 3 large state street projects, you might see 6 that are more targeted to specific segments. And then in the safety and compliance category, we have 74 requests. These are your crossings, bike ped improvements, safe routes to school, etc. Key factors that ACHD uses to prioritize our list once they receive it. They're looking at how we rank projects, their available funding and any restrictions that come with that funding source, existing deficiencies across the community, proximities to schools, and more. What that translates to for us is about 1 to 2 projects a year that are programmed for design, 1 to 3 projects programmed for construction. So after they take our list, they do some initial scoping and reviewing and assign a year for one of 3 things: design, right-of-way acquisition, or construction. This is one of the reasons why we don't move our list around a ton year over year, because we want them to keep moving through that process. But I think hopefully this shows you just how strategic we have to be in how we're moving these projects through, because we really only do get a couple to complete a year. This is why it's so important to look at other project delivery methods, and we're really excited that ACHD has launched some new opportunities for that. One being the rapid project implementation. This is a new team within ACHD, and the goal is to pick off some of those smaller projects that don't need to be a big capital project, that maybe don't need really extensive outreach, a sidewalk gap that needs filling or a crossing that needs added, and then a potential for a quick build approach to make other improvements. Our evaluation and ranking criteria when our team reviews our potential project list, first and foremost, safety. Then we're looking at connections to active transportation, how it aligns with our pathways plan, public transit investments, proximity to schools. We get all of the community feedback that ACHD receives through their outreach, which I included in your packet last week. And then a new approach we're adding this year is we're trying to score higher those projects that already have concept or design work complete, so we can really move those through the process instead of delaying those that might already have had some really robust community outreach. So you'll see that reflected in how we move things around a little bit this year. Looking first into our roads and intersections, I'm going to highlight some from our top 10. The photo here on the right I wanted to include, this is State and Pierce Park, which is under construction right now. It's a widening project going from 5 to 7 lanes, with those additional 2 lanes hopefully being able to utilize for public transit, not traditional HOV lanes, but mixed traffic, but it'll support our highest ridership corridor in the city. So we're really excited about that. And I show this because this is what the configuration of State Street should look like through the entirety of Boise. And then I also wanted to mention our third roadway and intersection priority, the 5 mile overpass. It's the oldest overpass that hasn't been improved on the I-84 system. So we're excited to keep that moving forward and hopefully help ACHD identify some funding for that. Next, 6 through 10, you'll see some familiar projects at the end of January after your strategy session on land use. We moved really quickly to identify where Orchard Street realignment and Lake Hazel extension might fit. And then simultaneously, we were able to identify a grant opportunity through our grants team to jump on really quickly. So we applied for a build planning grant just 2 weeks ago. There's a graphic from that. Dave from the Office of Community Engagement helped design an application in short order so we could look really polished. And if awarded, we will receive $5.6 million in federal funds, and we've matched that with local and community partner funds. We're really excited about that. This would be a big step forward that we would be able to do without sacrificing the rest of the priorities in our community. And then the Eckert Bridge you'll see here is under construction this fall, but it's still on our list, and we want to make sure that it gets completed. I'm not going to go through all 75 safety and compliance projects, but I'll highlight a few from the top 40. First, I want to mention the Emerald Overpass. This was a project that you all saw in some detail maybe 2 or 3 years ago when we partnered on an application with ACHD to apply for strategic initiative funding through the Idaho Transportation Department. We weren't awarded that funding, but this project continued to move forward. It iterated in such a way that the only alternative that made sense was a standalone bicycle and pedestrian bridge. And then after some legislation passed, it was increasingly difficult to even move that concept forward. So we still have it on our list because it is still important that it's represented here, but we don't have a path forward right now. And I mentioned a little bit of that in your background, but we have a couple projects that just need to be refined or scoped, or will just kind of stay where they are until we can figure out how to move them forward in a meaningful way. Capitol Boulevard being one of those, and 15th and 16th Street too. Some of the alternatives might be affected by that past legislation. Looking at 11 through 20, you might see some other familiar projects. Nez Perce corridor improvements from Vista to Hillcrest, where a fatality has occurred last year. The Bannock Bikeway, the last major bikeway improvement in downtown, and then Malad Sidewalk. In this last chunk, I want to call out Warm Springs Avenue C to Windsong. This remains among our top priorities. There's an image there on the right of what it could look like. ACHD and the community are really good about identifying alternatives that are respectful to space constraints. So you might see sidewalk only on one side or expanded bike facilities on one side. And those are some of the ways we're able to address community needs without going into expanded right-of-way needs. Input schedule and next steps. We are here. Our feedback is due to ACHD by March 18th. And I would welcome any comments you have about where we've scored projects, that if you've heard from residents about something that's really important that's not reflected on there, please get it to us by probably this Friday. And then we can incorporate that into our comments to ACHD. We usually send a letter with our list. So if you have anything you'd like to lift up in that, absolutely let me know. And then they release their scoring results later in the spring. They release a draft for public comment, we comment on, and neighbors and residents comment on, and then we give them another round of comments in August before it goes to the commission for adoption in September. This was my final slide. I will stand for any questions.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Actually, first, before I forget, I wanted to make sure that I thank the folks that were on the Keep Boise Cool committee. I appreciate that work. Please relay to the person who left and to the other folks that are on there. It's a lot of work to jump in. It's your volunteer time. And I appreciate you being involved in that project. So I wanted to make sure that I called that out before I forget. Bree, I appreciate you having keeping Emerald Overpass on there. We don't know if there's additional potential funding opportunities that maybe emerge, grants that may be out there. taking it off of there, I think runs a risk of not having it. And I think that's probably one of our most important east-west corridors, especially when we talk about up on the bench. And so it feels like a really lost opportunity, but I want to make sure that that opportunity stays open. Kind of along that note, I do have some questions because kind of looking through our kind of project form, our big kind of spreadsheet, there's quite a few things on there that used to have some design years that are no longer there. And I'm guessing that's probably for similar reasons that we've have concept plans that were completed for streets that are maybe no longer able to do because of legislation that went through at the state level, which I would question the legality of. But I'm wondering if some of those concepts, if they're going to end up being rearranged in order because of some of that legislation, and if that's something that we should expect when we see something like Collister that maybe isn't affected, but like 8th and 9th Street that probably is, does that end up changing some of the order and the priorities or some of the years that we might see some of these things done?
Sure, Madam Mayor, Councilmember Halliburton. Functionally, it might change the order. Like if a project just gets passed over, then it's effectively ranked lower. But I do think that ACHD is doing the best they can to still meet elements of what we wanted to achieve with those projects within the confines of the law. And that might mean batching it together with other projects or waiting till the scope gets a little bit bigger and really doing the best they can to try to incorporate some of those things. But some of these projects, it'll change the alternatives significantly from what the public desired. 8th Street, I'm thinking of as another one, the bike lanes.
For sure. Yeah, and I guess I would just maybe note that with this obstacle in front of us, there's probably some conversations with ACHD to say, like, what are the concepts that we want to move forward on, figure out what it is that we can do, that we want to hold on to in the event that maybe something changes in the future and we can actually get the infrastructure on the road that the community asks for and needs. And so this year's just, it feels a little bit different because we have some projects that are on the list that, we had planned on happening in the past that are now all of a sudden going to look a little bit differently. So I think that there's just some extra conversations we'll probably need to be having with ACHD on what do we continue to move forward with, and what do we pump the brakes on in hopes that we can actually get what we need in the future. So again, thanks for the work on this one. I know it's a challenging one this time.
Madam Mayor, thanks so much, Bree. This is a real puzzle piece each year, and I think it just gets more complicated. But so for example, I know that one of the items on the wish list was the out in Harris Ranch neighborhood, the Millbrook roundabout by a school. So when we talk about weighing safety concerns and impact and stuff like that, how are we making those evaluations? Is that in ACHD's court because they're the experts and they can kind of rank, they can look at those rankings? How does that come to be?
Sure, Madam Mayor, Council President, it's a little bit of both because we ultimately look at it and give it our own ranking, and then it goes over to ACHD and they go through a similar process. And I believe that roundabout is 13th on our list, so it's still relatively high. But what we're looking at and weighing against is what areas maybe don't have any infrastructure at all or have infrastructure that is completely deficient and also close to schools, also close to neighborhood activity centers. But then we are looking at the community feedback and how many times residents reach out about this one. And I know ACHD does the same, but does it have any concept work done? Does it have any design work done? It really has to be a careful balance.
Thank you. Yeah, I know it's a complicated balance,
Yeah.
so appreciate the information.
Madam Mayor. Bree, thank you so much for keeping all of this straight and coming to us with how we can prioritize. I mean, there's a laundry list, as you know, priorities and how we get them funded and how do we get them programmed and the fees. I wanted to just call out a couple ones. Like Jimmy, I'm really thankful that we're going to go ahead and leave the Emerald Overpass. I too think that's a really great connection for pedestrian and bicycle and has good opportunity. And I'm very optimistic that we are going to find a solution for this sometime in the future and working with ACHD. Also appreciate all the support and work for the 5 Mile Overpass, which is something that's been kicked year after year after year and is now really seem to be moving forward with the design opportunity as one of the oldest overpasses over 84. I think it's really key and it's a critical path, not just for a pathway for walking and biking, but also for movements for safety vehicles as well. So I appreciate all your work on this, and I wondered if you could, and I'm glad Ness Pierce was on here too from the safety side, but I wonder if you could also just explain for the record is how does ACHD move forward with these and the other agencies that provide input to ACHD?
Sure. Madam Mayor, Council Pro Tem, ACHD receives input from all 5 jurisdictions in their county. That's all 5 cities in Ada County. And then they get a project list from the Boise School District and from Ada County and from VRT and from Boise State. So they take all of those into account. And if multiple people, let's say us in the county, we're both saying the Eckert Bridge is really important, we're both saying the 5-mile overpass is really important, that goes a long way. But of course, there are some projects that are in our area of impact that the county will put on their list as well, and ACHD will take that into account.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Bree, thank you so much. I think it almost feels like the lead is being buried talking about the Lake Hazel extension. I really want to just thank you and the entire team that worked on that quick turnaround to be able to put in for that grant. And we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. But thank you so much. And I think it's a great example of why we want to indicate those things that we want, even if we may not know exactly where they are. I recall when ACHG came before us for a work session, we talked a little bit about almost like a Christmas list, I think was the joke at the time, and how long that could be. Can you just share a little bit about how long our list is now? And do we have a philosophy of, is it kind of longer than we normally would do? Is it okay that, we consult and chat about adding others, kind of where we're at on those priorities we're submitting?
Sure. Madam Mayor, Councilmember Corliss, we talk about this a lot as staff, whether it is valuable to have 100 projects or if we really should pare it down. But for us, it seems like to have more on there is better so that ACHG can be aware, they can scope it, maybe they can put it together with another project. So we have added some even really small projects that maybe we wouldn't normally, that adds to the number, but it's because we think that ACHD needs to know it's important to us and our residents. So it's tough.
Okay. Well, looks like everybody is good. As we wrap up, I want to thank the team that's been working on this, and did want to just also do a shout out to the team for the Lake Hazel grant. So that council has some context, and that opportunity opened to us when council agreed at the work session in January for us to look at Lake Hazel and the 5-year plan, to look at the Columbia Bench for future planning, the south of the airport area. And so the team then, the grant had been open for a long time, but these things we hadn't yet gotten a nod. And so the team went to work and turned a grant around that many people will take months to work on in about less than 3 weeks. And I want to thank CCDC, ACHD, the city for stepping up and being part of the match. We have to provide a 20% match if we win. But then also we wanted to demonstrate public-private support. So there are private interests that are also have pledged to be part of the match with some of their impact fees. But then all sorts of people along that corridor and businesses that would have opportunities to then link their jobs to homes wrote letters of support too. So really incredible work by our grants team and our city team to make this happen, and appreciate everybody that was part of this really quick turnaround. With that, we will break until 6 o'clock. We'll be back here then. Good to see everybody tonight.